would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
So, I mean, woke is sort of the idea that this is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. I mean, woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. Sorry, it's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
Okay. Do we have the rest of that clip? Okay, let me just explain what then happens. So Brianna Gray, who's the host of Rising, then says, "Oh, we have time," and then gives this woman more time to explain what she thinks woke is. And what do you guys think happens? Nothing. She cannot do it. That's Bethany Mandel. She is a conservative author. And there she is being asked a pretty simple question from Brianna Joy Gray on the Hill show Rising. She obviously, we've been talking about this for a long time, Jayar. The right does not know what they're saying. They don't know what they're talking about. Woke is a word that has been stripped of all meaning, which is very funny that the right cannot define something they hate, that they legislate against. And there was a perfect example. God, I feel like she just needed to call a friend or poll the audience.
Friend, yeah. She needs the poll in the audience wouldn't work either, because the audience that they've cultivated, which is the point I was gonna get to, they've cultivated this group that they can make these declarations, these statements, these words that are very scary now, they make them very general. So that no matter what, you can apply it to anything, whatever it is that you're upset about. Maybe you are upset about, as we've talked about extensively earlier in the show, your medical care, your price of insulin, your medications, any of that stuff, doctor visits, all that stuff, to schools, to your job, to transportation, to your holdovers when it came to air travel over the last year. Anything that angers you, that happens because of most likely deregulation or politicians that have taken the money from these types of things that would actually develop those types of things, it turns into woke. So no matter what it is that positions you've been put in by the very people who are calling everything woke, as long as you can blame it on that, you'll never blame it on them.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, it can be that. So when you actually ask them, what does this apply to? They can't say, because it needs to apply to everything. And it's hard to say that, again, as she pointed out, in a 15-second soundbite. I have to let you assume everything you're mad about is woke.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think that this tweet encapsulates it pretty well. This is from Xavier Pope. Who explains that the gobbledygook that the word woke has become now because of the right's attack on it. They write, the term woke went from a term Black people used to signal among us to be aware of white supremacy and systemic oppression, to it being used as a catch-all term, as a white grievance weapon of bigots defending and justifying that very same white supremacy and systematic oppression. That's exactly right, perfect. So they can't even say it, because even saying it would allude to the fact that there is systemic oppression, right? But truly, and I've said this before, when the right says woke, all they mean is Black people. They're like, Star Wars has gone woke. Well, what do you mean? Well, they got a Black stormtrooper. Well, so okay, what? They just mean anything that is inclusion, anything where there are people of color, anything that there was a consciousness around race or around gender, around sexuality. Like they hate it, but they don't want to define it, Jayar, because the magic power comes from not saying it.
It seems like a bad PR move that somehow still worked. If there's a bunch of folks in a room trying to figure out ways to convince their customers to buy something, whatever, in a normal business situation, they may run this by and go, hey, let's go with woke. And then someone who's smart in the room should have said, yo, listen, saying that people shouldn't be woke seems like that would be counterproductive to what we'd want people to believe, or what people would generally believe. Folks would generally probably say, yo, why is this group telling me to be asleep at the wheel? Why is this group telling me to nap on the job? Why is this group telling me to not be aware of my surroundings? It sounds like a predator. They want you to not know what's behind you. They want you to be in the dark when the panther's rolling up behind you and it's about to eat you. You're supposed to be aware of the dangers of your society and how it's coming for you.
Yeah.
If there's people looking to protect you over that, then you're supposed to see that and endorse those folks. But instead, they flipped it on its head and only strictly based off partisan politics. And those people I hate, look, they disagree with you, therefore they're coming for you. It turns into no matter what, if we target those people we've created a boogeyman out of, then suddenly no matter what it is that's coming for the folks that we've convinced of this, they're gonna buy it. And man, they've pulled this. I'm not sure how many decades it's taken, but they definitely have these folks hooked into believing that their interests are somehow baked in the word woke, and therefore they shove their interests aside and say, "Yo, that's too woke for me."
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.